One second, guys. All right. Hey, guys. Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Hopefully, everybody can hear me okay. Checking my levels, seeing we're good. Wanted to toss some spring ball. So, we have first practice starting tomorrow. A lot going on, really, because, we may talk a little pro day stuff as well with that on Tuesday. But really, this is going to be our preview session. I like to do this collectively. Jade, Tej, hook 'em. What's up, everybody? As y'all come into the chat, I really appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe the whole bit. Appreciate you guys as you come in here. Want to talk some ball with you guys. Want to talk about uh, what players you guys have your eyes on, what position groups you guys have your eyes on. In the title here, I have new faces, same expectations, right? So a lot of new faces on this football team as we go into what I consider the next era of Steve Sarkisian's tenure here at Texas. I think chapter one was essentially, his introduction, as well as the Quinn Ewers era and the change agents in college football, and him turning Texas into a real breathing contender and a solid, stable contender, not just stabilizing the program, but making this now one of the best, top, most desired programs that players want to be a part of, that fans want to root for. That's chapter one. Chapter two is the Arch era. That's where we're at now. We are officially in the Arch era. We know what that name, that prospect, all that means, but within, just framing it, right, of these chapters, eras, whatever you want to consider it, there's also a lot of new faces, a lot of big names. Some of them being mentioned here in the chat. Joseph Medina talking about Justice Terry, Jamie French, two guys that I know fans are going to be very excited to see their names on practice reports after every practice when people are trying to dig for information from the insiders, right? So we want to hear, the Michael Terrys. You want to hear about, a Khalil Lockett, right? Where are these guys fitting in, right? What is the next phase for this football team in terms of Arch's main weapons, in terms of the defensive tackles, in terms of the offensive line? I know I'm interested to hear about the right tackle battle, for example, Brandon Baker versus Andre Kojo, right? Can Kojo push Baker for that spot? Cole Hudson at center. That's a three-way battle between him, Connor Robertson, young Daniel Cruz out of North Richland Hills, right? So all of these battles, Trey Moore. How will Trey Moore be used? Trey Moore deciding to come back. We know we found gold with him kind of being this hybrid linebacker role, not just a true dirt in your hand, dirt in the grass edge, but a guy that may be better off being off the ball, standing up at the next level. Where does Trey Moore factor in throughout the spring, in terms of positional utilization, right? And then the big names that are already established, the guys that broke out last year, the person that I have highlighted in the thumbnail, Colin Simmons, right, who is now being regarded as one of the best, if not the best, returning edge rusher in college football. Can he transcend into being everything we want him to be in terms of being that superstar? Period, right? Like at this point, he's already achieved, from a statistical standpoint and where he ended the season, and that in the playoff games, as arguably our best defensive player. And that says a lot considering the guys that were on the field, including a first team All-American Thorpe Award player that's probably going to be a first round pick in Jahdae Barron. That's how good Colin Simmons was by the end of the season. So can this become, between him and obviously Anthony Hill, complete ownership of the defense, obviously at the third level, Michael Taft, right? So those three, Michael Taft, Anthony Hill, Colin Simmons, owning the defense at all three levels. What does that look like? Um, Joseph, you're talking about the tight end position. That is one of the biggest question marks that I think we will at least get feedback on right away. I agree with what a lot of the paid site people are saying, and just the number game. And I think common sense tells you that Texas will take a tight end in the portal. We know they were looking at tight ends. They had tight ends visiting. They just didn't land one. The guy that I think they really were after was the young man out of Purdue who ended up going to Ohio State. That big tight end. I think it was Claire. His name was Claire. So Texas is going to be looking at tight ends. Okay, that is now. With that being said, can Jordan Washington continue on the buzz that we heard and give us that athletic pass catching stuff, but also show that he can stay in the game as a blocker? Period. Like, even if he's not the starter in the Ohio State game, can he at least be, when we go 12 personnel, Jordan Washington's out there. Can Spencer Sanders, or sorry, Spencer Sanders, can Spencer Shannon play? I'm going to start there. Can he play? Right? Can he play? I think that's a question, right? Jordan Washington is the starting tight end as of right now, depending on what is available in the portal post spring. He's going to have to earn that. I think he can, but I'm not going to. There's so much more nuance beyond the pass catching stuff with that position that he's going to have to show, and they're going to have to trust, especially in Sark's offense. Y'all know he always says the second most important position in my offense is tight end. So there's a lot on that person's plate. It's not just how great an athlete he is in catching passes, right? If that was the case, Jatavian Sanders would have played all of his freshman year, which he didn't. He had to wait, learn, grow, develop. Hopefully that's the same track that Jordan Washington's on, to where by year 2 he's ready to roll. And I think that he can be there, but that's the point of the spring, right? We're gonna have to see that from him. Yeah, Trevor Gooseby. I think the left side is looking pretty promising. If you think about Gooseby, Neto taking over at left guard for Hayden Connor, and then going into center at the Cole Hudson, Connor Robinson, Daniel Cruz battle. But that left with Gooseby and Neto is going to be nasty, I think. I think that's going to be a really, really, really nasty group you see there. Cody said, y'all, I was in the tunnel with the team at the Michigan game. It was clear that we have a group of young guys that are ready to take over. We haven't reloaded like this since 04 to 09. That's the goal. That's where you want to be, right? Where there's no drop off. It's just you're learning the new faces, the new names, but they're playing at the same level, because guys like Jade Barron and all the guys that we've talked about on this channel for years have set the culture, right? So it's just really, y'all know what you need to do. They've done such a great job of, and even with this young group, this is why I'm excited. The things I've heard from Michael Taft, the things I've heard from Arch Manning, you have a lot of leadership on this team, just in terms of people holding their position groups or their teammates accountable with the offseason work. This offseason has been they've played no games this offseason, these kids. I'm seeing everybody busting their ass. It's like they're busting their ass like they are really on a mission, because at the end of the day, the expectations going into next season, Texas is going to be a top 3 team, right? Like, regardless of you losing your quarterback, you losing, we're going to have we had 14 people at the NFL Combine. That we're probably going to have another 10 plus, 11 plus, 12 plus potentially guys drafted, guys that are going to be first round picks, like a Kelvin Banks, right? Like a Matthew Golden, like a Jade Barron. There's no drop off in terms of what people are going to expect from Texas on the field next year. Because if you think about it, everybody was telling me, oh, are not in this fan base, but the haters would say, "Oh, well, Texas last year wasn't as good because they had 11 draft picks the year before. Remember that? Oh, they lost Worthy. Oh, they lost this person. They lost AD Mitchell." And we kept saying we like what's coming in, right? We like where we've been recruiting. So this is the trajectory that the program is now on. And that's why it's so exciting to talk about. It's not doom and gloom anymore. It's just getting familiar with the new guys, but also finding out what they do well, their strengths. I mean, the team last year did not play necessarily all the way like the team of 2023, right? 2023 Texas that finished in the Final Four against Washington. Really listen to what I'm saying. The elements and the strengths and what made that team what it was not the same as the team that also made it to the Final Four, losing to Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl. Their strengths and weaknesses, I think, were very, very different. So that's another thing, right? We kind of played, adjusted to the situation. If you think about the way we had to play football in 2023, leaving the Big 12 versus entering the SEC in 2024. So now we have. I think this is one test we should also keep in mind here. We now are being hit with staff turnover. I think that's also a sign of the next era of Sark. We know that player turnover in this program, in terms of good turnover, guys graduating, guys going to the league. We know that we've been able to reload. We've recruited well. We've evaluated in the portal well. We've been developing well behind those guys. All three of those ingredients have been a factor with that turnover. What we now need to see is with all of the coaching turnover that's happened really over the last, I would say even going back to Bo Davis when we brought in Kenny Baker, we got to see that that also holds up to where Sark is also able to plug in coaches, because sometimes that can be the demise of a fast rising program and a fast rising coach if those pieces don't fit with staff turnover. That's what's made guys like Kirby Smart mainstays, because obviously Georgia's staff has been getting plucked for years. I mean, Fran Brown, right? Dan Lanning, all these guys that have left the Georgia program under Kirby Smart and have now already been very successful at their programs, like Fran at Syracuse and Dan Lanning at Oregon, very early on, right? So now we want to see that from Sark, and how because he's also talked about not just developing players, but developing your staff and your coaches with the knowing of the expectations that those guys are eventually going to want to be promoted and want to get their own programs eventually if they want to be head coaches. So I need to see that continuity from, we have a lot of new coaches on this staff. Buying into that culture and echoing Sark's message that has been consistent over the last few years is going to be very, very key. Let me check in on some of the comments here, because I think you guys are having a lot of good conversation here. So this is something I've been banging the table on Joseph Medina for a little bit here. Whether or not Cedric Baxter is ready, you need to go portal for running back. I need one more back. Right now, I know what I have, obviously, with Quintravian Wisner. Returning 1,000-yard rusher, a guy that can do it all, really, with not just running behind the offensive line, but also catching the football, as well as being as willing a blocker as he possibly can be for his size. They're going to have to obviously watch the volume that they put on Wisner, though, right? I mean, especially with such a long season, a long grind, coming off of a very long season where he got a lot of work. When Jaden Blue was banged up or in the doghouse at times, Wisner had to play. With obviously Baxter going down, Wisner had to play. When Gibson had his fumble issues, Wisner had to play. He's not a 225-pound back that you can just, honestly, in this day and age, you just need to have fresh backs anyway. So I am really on board with getting another running back. I think this is a huge spring for Jarrett Gibson. This is a huge opportunity for Jarrett Gibson. Wisner's established what we're going to ask him to do, and I think his volume is already cut out for him with the production that he will return. But Jarrett Gibson needs to be the hammer. He needs to be the hammer that you're looking for in short yardage. He needs to be a guy that you can rotate into wear out defenses at the end of the game when you're trying to bang and run clock. Whatever the situation is, he needs to be the hammer and pass protection. He has a lot of ability. He's a young player. This is a huge spring for Jarrett Gibson. I also say that because there's not a whole lot of guys in his way, right? I mean, obviously you're going to be very, very a lot of caution with Cedric Baxter. Christian Clark is not yet, all the way back. He's going to be working on his own to get there. And then you have other young guys. So why not now for you, right? But I've been saying, guys, we lost to a team that had maybe one or two more players than we did in the arms race, because that's what it is now. It was an arms race. And Ohio State in the arms race had Quinshon Judkins. They didn't just sit back and say, oh, we good with Travion Henderson. I'm going to keep saying that because that was the mentality they had. They had the guts to go and get to make the phone calls and get Caleb Downs in the building. And when it looked like Caleb Downs was going to go to Georgia. Y'all remember that? They got him in the building. They did what they had to do. So we gotta be greedy after this spring. Don't be content just because. And I understand you want to keep your players happy. You don't want to piss somebody off that feels like they're in a job, and then it's like, why are you recruiting over me? Blah blah blah. I'm saying positions within reason. Running back is one of those positions, right? Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson did themselves a favor going to the next level with the volume they've taken off their backs. Go look at Singleton and Allen at Penn State. They're doing themselves a favor with the volume they're taking off of each other's backs. You want multiple guys in the room. So all I'm saying is go get me another guy. I think just off the top of my head, running back is going to be one that I would look at. I do think Texas, we're going to get to the receivers because this is a big one. I think Texas, depending on how Aaron Butler and Parker Livingstone look opposite Wingo and potentially in the slot, right? Because DeAndre Moore is going to be limited this spring. And that was essentially going to be Arch's number one target in terms of volume, would be more in the slot. You may have to look at something there, right? And then tight end, I think they're going to go get a tight end, whether it's a starter or whoever. And then interior defensive line, you need more depth. Period. I love Justice Terry. I love what he's going to bring to us. I know they did add to that in the portal the first round. They need a lot more depth there with what we've lost. They need a lot more interior defensive line help. So, and guys that, they're gonna have to just pay because y'all know how it is. These defensive linemen aren't cheap, so they're just gonna have to pay. But that Gregory, yeah, I'm there with you. I think we have to give Baxter grace because I think he got better as his freshman year went along. He just was always banged up. That's why I'm not just I'm not putting him as a guarantee for this season. I got to see it first. Weisner caught over 40 balls last season. So we did throw it to him. Between him and Jaden Blue, they combined for 86 receptions last year. And I think they were both dead even at 43 catches last year. That was a lot of passes. Now that was Quinn Ewers and his offense. I don't know if we're going to be throwing the balls to the running backs as much or running. Screen will always be a part of Sark's offense. Let's start there. Screen game will always be a part of Sark's offense. However, Quinn Ewers, the way he plays football, had more of a propensity to work underneath, and you know, just, that's how he's been playing football since he's been under Sark. We've already seen with Arch, he's going to be more aggressive, taking shots down the field. He's even going to be more aggressive on his RPOs, the way he runs RPO versus the way Quinn runs RPO. So I still think the running backs are going to have heavy usage in the passing game. It just won't be, I don't know if they'll get the same type of work where they caught 80 something passes between two people last year. So, but they are a part of the, at least as of recent, they have been a part of the pass game. Gregory, though, this is the comment I was looking for. This is exactly where I am with the portal. Exactly where I am with the portal. CB, I see your comment about Sean Miller. I'm going to have a totally separate video about Texas basketball. Sean Miller's press conference is tomorrow, I believe, as well. So that'll be a totally separate video. I'm not going to talk basketball here right now, but I do have a lot of thoughts on everything. But I am excited for Sean Miller. I am excited. CFB Picks, what's up, man? Hopefully Arch improves that aspect of his game. Take what the defense gives you. Now, with that said, I wouldn't be surprised if he forces a lot of jump ball situations when we go. This is a good comment because as exciting as Arch was and as productive as he was in the limited time he got, those 2 starts and then all of the mop-up duty and then obviously the Arch package at the end of the year, it didn't get exposed because of the competition, but the blessing, the beautiful side of him, the deep ball accuracy, the aggressiveness to challenge the defense, the athletic ability, the second the off platform playmaking abilities that he's going to have, like all these things that we've been kind of critical of Quinn a little bit, like we are going to see that with Arch. However, one of the things that are areas of growth for Arch is actually reading the defense, believe it or not. He did struggle when he had to come off his first read, which is common for 99% of young quarterbacks. Arch is no different. And one of the things you saw, and it was highlighted probably the most when he got thrown into the Georgia game, was he there were several plays, and even when he got in, where he actually had, let's say, a mid cross or a mid dig route for him to go, but he's trying to throw a post still. Or he's trying to throw a deep go when it's like, hey, the defense is giving you this deep hitch right here. Don't get greedy. So those are the type of things he's going to have to develop. I think he will, just with his work ethic and his natural football IQ, but it's going to take time. And I do think that the speed of the game is also a thing, right? It takes a while to get adjusted just to this. He had to understand, like, oh, Jalen Walker is way faster than any human being I've ever been on the football field with at this size, right? Michael Williams is no joke, right? So Arch is going to have a big dose of that in the Ohio State game to a degree, which is great for us in his journey. But we'll have a lot of highlights. Like you said, there's going to be some great, exciting, take the top off the defense plays to Wingo, to Moore. You saw it last year. You already know what he's going to come with. But we do need to see that maturation. One of the reasons why you would see sometimes he would take a blindside tack or whatever is because he didn't really like the picture was a little hazy for him, right? In terms of, or not making sure, hey, this guy's coming unblocked, little things like that, where you only can kind of learn sometimes just with reps. I'm excited to see what he looks like now that he's getting all the reps to himself. He is truly getting to have that preparation as the guy, the man, and having an offense structured and built around him. But also, like he said in his own interview, like preparing to be the starter that week, it's way different than, oh, stay ready, or you get your rep. You don't know when your reps are coming. You don't know when your opportunities are coming, right? So I'm excited for that for Arch and how he leads this offense. We also have to keep in mind Arch is in a little bit different situation than Quinn. Quinn played, especially Quinn's last year, really Quinn, all 3 years that Quinn played with a lot of veteran guys. That first year he had the running backs, right? Bijan Robinson, Roshan Johnson, veteran guys behind him. The second year, Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, veteran guys. Jordan Whittington, veteran guys. Jatavian Sanders. Then you go to Gunnar Helm, Isaiah Bond, who had played a lot of football, Matthew Golden, who had played a lot of football. Quinn was just constantly surrounded by a lot of veteran guys. We didn't, we eventually worked in some younger receivers here and there, but for the most part, the last couple of years, especially, Quinn's been working with real veteran players. I do think when you look at Arch now, it's got a lot more younger guys around him. That's what's leading me to the receiver room, right? This spring, the one veteran guy that's like played football like that is DeAndre Moore, who's limited. And then Wingo played a lot last year, but I don't consider Wingo necessarily a veteran yet because he really hasn't been a true starter per se. Now, we're expecting Ryan Wingo to make that jump into being at least your premier outside receiver and fulfilling those expectations that we have for him and especially what we saw early in the season of what he's capable of. You guys remember last spring, Ryan Wingo was the name that everybody was talking about. Ryan Wingo was the guy that was popping up in every practice report with the, oh my God, he's the most talented receiver on the 40 since Roy Williams type stuff. Well, now we got to see that consistency. Has he grown? Has he become a more disciplined route runner? Is he scaling into his body where he looks bigger, stronger, faster as a sophomore, as a guy who's been in the Texas Strength and Conditioning program now for a full year? What will he look like? And then on the other side, they didn't bring in any receivers in the portal yet. So Parker Livingstone and Aaron Butler have a real opportunity to solidify themselves, potentially both of them, right? But you're looking for at least somebody to step up. That's where my eyeballs are really, really on, right? Like I think Wingo's going to get there just with how much he's already played, his rapport with Arch. I'm not necessarily worried about Ryan Wingo. I expect to hear productive things from him. Where we don't know, the unknown as of right now, we know what their talent is. I know Aaron Butler can run. I know Parker Livingstone can run. They're both more, Parker Livingstone's more in that Isaiah Nair type build and profile, how he runs. Aaron Butler is more of what you would think, a traditional Sark receiver recruit would look like in terms of his slender build and just raw speed and ability to break away. Like, can those guys earn that trust of the staff and develop into what we think they can be? And it's also going to come down to who's being consistent practice to practice, because we sometimes you'll see guys that are werewolves early on in their career. They pop out once a week, and then they'll have two other bad practices, and then they'll may pop out in a scrimmage, but you don't know if you can count on them. Don't know if you can count on them. We need to see who's going to be consistent over there, because listen up, you got Jamie French, Khalid Lockett, Dalen McCutcheon, all on their behinds. And those guys are going to play all over different positions. And then on top of that, you have the probably the most dynamic Swiss Army knife of a prospect that Sark has gotten to use in Michael Terry. Michael Terry's going to play all over the place in this offense, which is fun. And I think they can do a lot of really cool stuff with Michael Terry. But where does he end up? Right? Where does Where does he fit into this? What will be his usage rate early on? I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Terry is the out of all these guys, because of his uniqueness of what he brings to the table positionally, if he's the guy that's the first freshman on the field that you see against Ohio State. I think all of them we're going to need all of them this year because of the situation with the room. I think French is going to have to play. I think they're all going to have to play. I don't think anybody's going to get a red shirt or anything like that. I think these guys are going to be used, right? I'm not saying starters, but you also think about depth, right? We lost Isaiah Bond for a big chunk of time last year. We needed some other people to step up, right? So I expect that from our guys. I hope so. He said Colin Simmons gonna come out like Michael Parsons and Abdul Carter starting tomorrow. That's the expectation for that young man. That's the expectation for that young man, and we know what he's capable of. He should have. This should be the start of an all SEC level campaign. Sky's the limit for Colin Simmons, and the motor is just crazy. Now you've had that production. That's the guy that's also going to push people in practice every day. You're not going to have no dull practices with him out there. And it's great for the development of our offensive linemen too. We're definitely getting a huge receiver. Yeah, no, we are. We are. Now, what the sense of urgency is in the portal for those receivers will be dependent on the performances of these young receivers, these first and second year guys in camp this spring. If they earn the trust and they're as good as the staff think they can be early on, especially for a first time starter in Arch, then maybe only add one piece in the portal, something that is more of a complementary type skill set to what you already have. But if they're struggling and they're inconsistent and it's a bunch of werewolf activity, then they may have to go gangbusters in the portal at receiver. You have time. And I think it's sometimes easier to add that receiver piece if you know what you're looking for. Interior defensive line is hard. That's where my biggest concern is right now on the whole roster would be interior defensive line. Considering the conference we play in, considering the interior defensive line play we have had the last, 3 years now, it's been outstanding. That's where I'm like, I am really, really concerned. If I had to, I'm more concerned about that than even the tight ends, because at least the tight ends, like I said, if Jordan Washington can be around where Jatavian was year two, we should be fine. Then you're just looking to supplement that. But the defensive line situation, the depth that will be needed, the interior defensive line situation, I should say, is of concern to me. Even with Justice, I know Justice Terry's going to be fine. He's a freshman, right? Like you need a rotation of guys. Think about it, as good as we had last year. We had Norton, Savea ultimately went down. You have Vernon Broughton. You had Alfred Collins. We had different types of defensive tackle play. We had Sadir Mitchell at times. We had a lot of different types of guys depending on the situation. Right now, you just looking for bodies that can play. Am I overdoing the concern with Jermaine Lole, who he definitely got better as the season went on there? Like that was a lot of guys that turned out to be on our defensive line, and that was coming off the season where we had T Sweat and Murphy. So I need to know what are we looking like on that interior, and is it up to SEC level? Got to go full Cowboys and play with leads. I think the interior defensive line pass rush will be good with Justice, Alex January, and both the transfers. I think you're going to need more. I like Alex January a lot. He also got to play at the end of last year, and obviously his chemistry already that he has with his high school teammate Colin Simmons. Justice Terry, second best, second highly rated defensive lineman in the country, who will be expected to be a beast right off the bat. I need more. I need more because we've had a lot of guys, no matter, again, regardless of the type of team or situation. I mean, we've been blessed there. And when you have issues with your interior defensive line, that is going to be very, very costly. Very, very costly. Because if you can't control the line of scrimmage, you're going to end up in a real bad way in this conference. And that's what could deter us from hitting our goals, quite frankly. If you're not consistent stopping the run, people are getting up on your linebackers. You don't have interior defensive pass rush. You having to rely on everything coming from the outside, or having to rely on interior blitzing. What happens if guys go down? We had guys go down last year, but we were deep enough to handle that, and the group got better. Shout out to Kenny Baker and in-season coaching, in-season development. The group got better as the season went on. They got better and better as the season went on, to where they were really, really good come postseason play. So we've lost a ton in that room. That is my number one area of concern. The biggest question I have for the Texas football team right now here in March: what will they do? What will they look like? What is the complete totality of the interior defensive line? I think they have more work to do. Justice Terry, Alex January, plus the transfers is not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough, in my opinion, my humble opinion. All those guys I mentioned can play. Nobody's. They will be good players. They will be productive players. It's not enough. Think about what you had the last 2 seasons. They got to go do something about that. Now, where I'm excited, where I'm really comfortable, I think secondary, you have a lot of cool options. I know we'll have, you're replacing a Thorpe Award winner and Jade Barron. This time last year, I had my questions about him playing outside corner, and he made me look foolish for even questioning it. He ended up becoming the best defensive back in the country. Andrew Makuba came in here and solidified us with communication with Michael Taft. We got very good play for the most part of the season from Manny Muhammad. We know that some of the struggles he had down the stretch, but for the most part, he was really, really good. And I expect Manny Muhammad to continue to just grow and scale into a really good football player, especially with Dwayne Akina being there. I think Dwayne Akina is going to be very, very good for Manny Muhammad. I think Dwayne Akina is going to be very, very good for some of those younger guys like Xavier, like Jelani McDonald, guys that have all the athletic ability in the world. You think about Johnson Rubel, guys like that are going to fulfill your depth while we're waiting for Jonah Williams to add to this group come fall. They have a lot to work with. I'm excited to see Cade Phillips, if he can earn some time at corner. I think Kobe Black's going to make some noise, but I think Cade Phillips is a very interesting prospect with his length as a true freshman that can come in and earn time right away and earn the trust. So I think that's an area where you have a lot of options to work with Now, this group was put together by the guys that left, right? Terry Joseph and Blake Gideon. You have Dwayne Aquina, um, Osprey or whatever his name is. Like you got some new faces coaching these kids and having to marry that with Johnny Nansen and Pete Kwiatkowski and what they want to do schematically with the defense. So I think that's the only kind of question I have there, but we really honestly won't see the answer to that until the season starts because they're going to tell us what we want to hear throughout camp, even if things aren't completely kosher. They're going to tell us what we want to hear, and we don't have a spring game to see it with our own eye. So that really can't get graded. Now, the one thing, the other thing that you can't, that I hope I get good info on, that was a killer for us last year. Jeff Banks, please come front and center, Jeff Banks. We love you, buddy. You've been a great recruiter. You've done a great job with the tight ends. You've put out some fire special teams early on. We need to get back to business in 2025. Whatever that bullshit was in 2024 is unacceptable from the whole fucking unit, my guy. Unacceptable. Your unit cost us an SEC championship. I'm just going to keep it a buck. We at least would have won the SEC championship if not for the kicking issues. That can't happen anymore. I still get mad thinking about how bad Texas special teams was, considering we had a national championship contending team. Even with all of the some of the injuries we faced on both sides of the ball, we had a national championship contending offense and defense. Our special teams is one of the worst in the country. Coming off of seasons where Jeff Banks, you coached it, right? So that's why I believe in you. I know what you can do for us. I know the groups you've put out there before. So I'm not fully worried. But we need to understand that what we saw in 2024, and I think you know that better than anybody else, Coach Banks, was unacceptable. That is unacceptable performance for an entire group. They did not, I'm sorry, a lot of times it's pass-fail grade. They did not get a passing grade for 2024, especially the elite play that we've had from your units the previous seasons. We got to get back to the standard of Texas special teams on this program. Special teams is a part of our identity. We pride ourselves on the specialists that we have sent to the NFL that have become great, great players. We pride ourselves on our kick coverage teams. We pride ourselves on having brothers that can take it to the house at any time and can break one. So they got to get their house in order over there. Have to. Because if let's say we have some early woes with any of these young units that we're putting out there, we're going to have first-time starters at offensive line. We're going to have first-time starters at defensive line. Special teams can make or break flipping a game for you, especially early in the season. So you can't come in there with shitty special teams and then trying to grow the young guys over here. We got to be back on point. But I'll leave it at that. Y'all just bringing up the block punts, the fake punts we allowed, the missed field goals, the crappy punting we had most of this. I mean, it was just on and on and on, right? So we have to get the ill-advised returns out of the end zone when we didn't need to. That cost us field position. We had common sense issues on special teams in 2024. Common sense. That's coaching. That's coaching. We got to get back on point. Got to get back on point to the standard. So I never worried. That's what I'm saying. The difference for two teams that ended up getting to the same place essentially were so different. 2023 Texas, you think of Keelan Robinson and Xavier Worthy, who's the best return man in the country. You know, you think of Keaton Crawford covering kicks. It was so it was so different from 2024 special teams where everything was chaos. It started in the playoff game against Washington. Oh boy, yeah, we got to get back to the 5-7 team was good as special teams. Whoo! Bevo versus the world. What's up? What's up? What's up? You know, I had to come talk to y'all before spring ball started. We had to break down some ball now that we're about to start getting the pads back on soon. I had to come back and talk with y'all. I've been traveling a lot for my job. I'm actually here in a hotel room right now, but I brought my gear with me. I'm like, we gotta get on and talk to the people. So I set up here with my road gear before this work conference I'm attending tomorrow. But so I got to rap with y'all about spring ball and also get like I said, I learned as much from y'all as y'all do from me. Hit me now. So football junkie, what's going on with Hill? Rumors going around DFW that he wants out. Any truth to this? I have not heard any such thing, and I live in DFW. That sounds like message board talk. I haven't heard any such thing, and I know he has a very good NIL package as well. And why? And then you got to ask yourself, why would he? Why would you? His coach didn't even change. A lot of guys' coaches changes. His coach didn't even change, and he's coming off of a very good season. That does, yeah. I'm not. I'm not gonna address. I've not heard that rumor at all. This is the first time hearing that, so I'll leave it at that. But what I wanted to say was, y'all hit me in the comments. A, hit the like button, subscribe, help a brother out. Show some. It's free to show love, so hit the like button, subscribe, whole thing. But B, in the comments, talk to me. Who do you want to? Who do you have your eyes on, and why? Come spring, and I'm not talking about. I'm talking about guys that are in real position battles, young guys, some, whether it's a freshman you think has an opportunity to earn a spot in the 2D. Who do you think is going to be part of the Arch brain trust, right? Because Arch is, if I'm Arch, my first spring as starter, who can I trust? Especially my main man is here and not here, and DeAndre Moore. So who can I trust? Who can I trust if I'm Arch Manning? Offensive line, right? All that. This is, what are we looking for? Y'all let me know in the comments or here on the chat. Talk to me. Who are we looking to see? Who are we looking to ball out this spring? Where you're looking every time you click on, whether it's Inside Texas or 247 or Orange Bloods, you're looking for this particular person's name. Jared Gibson, 100%. I highlighted that earlier, and we're going to re-highlight that now. Huge spring for Jarek Gibson. There's not a whole lot of noise in front of you. You have a new position coach in Coach Scott. Wisner has to be limited just with all the work he's naturally going to get. You need more than one back. Jared Gibson, you're up, right? We know Baxter is still coming back from injury. Clark is doing his work. Jared Gibson's gonna have to ball security the whole bit. We this is as clean a slate as one can have. I'm gonna answer this question real quick before I get back to y'all's because this is a good one. I actually love this idea. What do you think about Kim B's talking about Dion looking to play another school, and Fran Brown from Syracuse raised his hand first on Twitter and said, "Hey, we would love to come down to Boulder or somewhere in Colorado and scrimmage you guys." I love it. Look, I think that's the only, these coaches, Dion already told y'all, Sark said it, Dion said it. They both said the same thing. They are looking to structure their springs in more of an NFL OTA model. The only thing you can do that would be productive to them as a coach is to evaluate their guys against other guys in a controlled environment, like they already do in the pros during training camp. You would just do that in the spring. That's what they're trying to mimic. And I think you'll start to see somebody like a Bill Belichick look to do this in North Carolina. Joey McGuire also reached out to Dion and said that he would entertain having his kids meet them at the Star in Frisco and having some sort of, joint practices and then maybe a little scrimmage there. But that to me is going to that's a good change for college football. I'd like to see. Um, I'd like to see that. But right now, with the landscape of not allowing the changes to signing days, this calendar hasn't changed for signing days, number one, which has put a lot of these coaches in a bind, especially the further you go. Think about Texas had to deal with a signing day while they were in the playoffs. The calendar hasn't changed. The portals, granted, the portal closes before we would have our spring game, but some other people, like, you're also worried about people getting poached. Some of y'all saying in the comments. I mean, I think it's reality. I mean, Sark's not going to flat out say it publicly, but it's the truth. Look at the tampering that was going on our roster during the playoffs. It was ridiculous. Because everybody else that's out, not doing shit, has to go build their team, and they hitting up players that we put the time in to develop, and now you want the goods. You want the fruits of our labor. We worked on a guy for 2 years. Same thing happened with Bama in that corner. I think he went to Ole Miss. Ole Miss took a corner from Bama. They hadn't even shown the guy yet. They developed him behind the scenes for 2 years, who was going to take off. And Ole Miss just slides in, throws him some money that they're not going to match because he's not a starter yet, and he's gone. Bo came and got Sadir from us. Just keep it a buck. So until they adjust the calendar and the windows of these things so that the people that are actually playing deep into the season aren't getting punished like this, Sark got to do what he got to do. That's why I'm not mad at him about the spring stuff. He got to do what he got to do. And Dion and again, Dion, and now that Bill Belichick is in college football, they are bringing straight up NFL mentality into this. Dion built Colorado the way you would rebuild an NFL team. That's exactly what you would do. Purge the whole damn thing, get your guys in there as quickly as possible, and then from there you start your culture. That's what they're doing. Bill Belichick gonna do the same thing in North Carolina and hire a GM to oversee that. Sark and Kyle Flood are NFL guys. They're thinking the same way. They're not. Look, it's you got to play the game. Now, getting back to the players, Kojo versus Brandon Baker is going to be very. I think your top position battles. Kojo versus Brandon Baker at right tackle. I think the center battle is going to be interesting. Cole Hudson's going to play, right? But can he play? Can he be your starting center? So Cole Hudson, Connor Robinson, Daniel Cruz. That's the other battle. Parker Livingstone versus Aaron Butler. And then the corner situation. Where does Gilbo play? I think Gilbo's going to try to do what Jade Barron did and move outside. Who's going to play star? They throwing out a whole bunch of names playing star. All sorts of names playing star. But ultimately, you have Manny Muhammad at one corner. Who's going to be the other outside corner, and who's going to be the nickel? The good thing is you have a lot of competition there, right? And then if it's not Jelani McDonald going to start, does Jelani McDonald go back to his original spot and start opposite Taft at safety, like we were, basically where they were already kind of doing with Makuba in the rotation, right? So what does that look like? I think those are the big key battles you're looking at for sure. Worried about receiver separation. I feel like that's where we bogged down when Cook left the team. I mean, I was pleased with Matt. Thought Matthew Golden stepped up. I think Isaiah Bond's injury really hurt. I think Isaiah Bond earlier in the season when he was really healthy was pretty good. I think the injury, and then he's always had inconsistent hands, unfortunately. But I think the injury just really derailed what he was going to be. Now it was offset because Matthew Golden stepped up and Gunnar Helm became a really good tight end. But if you think about what I said earlier with the running backs, the passing game was those two. Obviously DeAndre Moore had his moments, and when he did, he was big. But the rest of it was going to the running backs. We started spamming wheel routes to Jaden Blue. They caught 86 passes. Again, that could be a function of Quinn, but they were such a huge part in the passing game. But to your point, Jesus, what does that look like with this new group? I think that's why you go and bring in these young guys trying to see if they can play right off the bat. The Jamie Frenches of the world, the Lockett's. Separation is a big thing in Sark's offense, no doubt about it. Shout out to Chris Jackson too. Do we have two proven guys? I'm assuming you're saying Wingo and Moore. Um, I think I like the upside, but I don't know if I'm ready to say that they're 100% proven. But your point still stands, Pooh. We need that third receiver. Shoot, we need a rotation, especially with. I think this offense is going to hum a little different with Arch, especially vertically. Sadir got catfished by Bo. He sure did. He sure did. But think about it. Like Sadir was winning like whatever that award is we give out for like best practice player and most developed, all that. Like we came a long way developing Sadir. Only then when it's time for him to take over, somebody else comes and scoops him. That's where the staff is getting frustrated, man. Those are guys you spend a lot of time behind the scenes building up, and then somebody else comes in. I mean, Jonte has other issues. He's got to. I mean, it's well beyond football at this point. I mean, it's um, mental health. I'll just leave it at that because I want the football talent was never a question with Jonte Cook. It's just the stuff upstairs and stuff he has to deal with. The thing is about our receivers and schemes, someone is always open. We just so happen to be limited with Quinn. Not to talk ish about Quinn, but come on now, we haven't had an X factor at QB in years. Can't wait. Now that's the upside you're looking for. And look, there's a lot of pressure, obviously, on Arch, but he's a Manning, and I think the thing about a lot of these guys that are from NFL blood, family blood, this applies to a lot of across sports, right? You also are equipped with the tools and the understanding and the knowledge of how to navigate those things and deal with it, right? And what to turn off, what to focus on. And think, I really do think that when I look at Arch Manning, that's the closest thing we've seen to Andrew Luck. I really do. I'm not comparing them full blown skill set wise, but just in terms of the polished nature, neck up athletes, and being full menu for their coach in terms of what you can run for them. You could run anything with Andrew Luck. I think you can run anything with Arch. I think Arch is that level of prospect. Prospect. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Andrew Luck was when he was at Stanford. That's not what I'm saying. But I think he can be in that ilk, and that's why the scouts and the people are so excited for him. And he comes with the because Andrew Luck, I mean, really had no, especially collegiate, he had no weaknesses. He was great underneath. He was great intermediate. Whenever he threw a deep ball, it was a beautiful deep ball. Arch same way, right? Just experience and getting used to the speed of the game. That's really all it is. Once Arch has that under his belt and that rapport with his guys, it's going to be crazy. Look, I'm not Quinn. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not going to disrespect Quinn either. Quinn was a very, very, very good quarterback for us, and um, covered up a lot of things at times that we didn't even realize. I do think that Arch will stay 2 years at least. He's not in a rush to get to the NFL in the sense of a fulfilling his collegiate experience. Um, he's obviously in a different situation financially, right? Um, most guys that aren't in his situation financially, you can't pass up that guaranteed opportunity, guaranteed money. I mean, that would be irresponsible to your family, right? Arch is in a different situation where he can be picky, really get comfortable, really enjoy his college experience uninterrupted. Um, the NFL is going to be there whenever he wants, health willing. And I think he has that Manning DNA where, like Peyton and Eli, where those dudes just were damn near indestructible. I think Arch have that same build. I mean, I'm not on some wood, but think about like the fact that probably the most frustrating thing with Quinn wasn't even his play; it was his health. Think about that. Like we're hearing about this torn oblique, like that really impacted. I think Quinn could have been a first round pick if not for what he had to deal with. The way where he was at again, year 3 under Sark, where he was at early in the season, the way he was moving versus after the clear time point of when that he suffered that injury, I think it's night and day. If Arch has the same type of health profile that his uncles had, then we're not worrying about like did our quarterback practice every week. Think about this. Think about this. Like we could potentially have a situation. Even the guy, think about it. The that health at Texas with the quarterback has been an issue for a very long time. That's one thing we do not talk about. Sam Ellinger, while he always played. Sam Ellinger was hardly ever 100%. Now a lot of that was Tom Herman's fault because he was also our starting running back a lot of times. So he just ran poor Sam into the ground. But I'll never forget hearing about what the medical staff was doing just to make sure that Sam could play on Saturdays. The issues he used to have with his ribs, if y'all remember that. The issues he sometimes had with his shoulder, all these different things that Sam had to deal with. He was always something. And when you're not 100%, you're not going to be consistent throwing the football. Quinn had injuries. Casey Thompson had the thumb. Hudson Card had multiple leg injuries. So we have not been blessed with just straight health from the quarterback position at this school. That's where Arch can really help you. Is if he has that Manning DNA where they're damn near, Eli never missed a start. They always played. And they were not just always played, but they were always pretty healthy. I know Peyton had his neck thing, but that was at the very end of his career. So we are also looking to just have. We're not worrying about looking over our shoulder every single week about you know XYZ injury on the quarterback. Now, that is not to say that Trey Owens and KJ Lacey can just take take the spring off. This is a big spring for them. They got to be ready. Anything can happen. I could say all this, and then something happens in the very first game, and now is Trey Owens is up, KJ Lacey right there, right? So big spring for them to stabilize the quarterback room and push Arch the same way Arch was pushing Quinn. He needs to be pushed. Any good quarterback needs to be pushed. It only helps you. And those are some good young prospects behind him that I think can give him that push. I'll let you know. Right now, I'm not planning um, on coming out to Columbus, but if things change, I will let you know, Sandusky. Appreciate it. Appreciate how long you've been rocking with us, man. It means a lot. Yeah, the soft tissue stuff under Tom Herman and the strength and conditioning staff was tough. I mean, and then on top of that, me and Texas Homer have gone into this in detail too many times, um, especially with you guys. But them adding all that damn weight to almost every skill position person that came into this program was a criminal offense. They ruined a lot of guys' careers. I'm gonna keep it a buck. They ruined a lot of guys' careers. A lot of guys that could have been really good football players. Brennan Eagles, Keontae Ingram, Jake Smith. They almost made Jordan Whittington quit football. Every single one of them, they added 20 to 25 pounds of armor on these guys when not everybody's body was built that way. Caden Stearns, all these guys, BJ, they screwed up all of their bodies, all of them. That's why I have grace when I talk about those kids, because they picked Texas and got screwed over by people that didn't know what they were doing. Got screwed. Caden Stearns talked about this on my channel a couple years back. He's been very open about it. Keontae Ingram, when he got here, when he came out of Carthage, was like 205. By the time he left Texas, he was 235. The reason why he got back to the NFL is because he went to USC and they got him down to like 220. And then I think that's his playing weight in the NFL still, like 215, 220. Why the hell? Why they were adding all this? They made Brennan Eagles 240 pounds. Anyway, we've talked about this too much. Made Jordan Whittington a running back. It was crazy. They didn't know what they were doing. They screwed up all them dudes' bodies. All the guys on defense. Crazy. Sark, they're like, look, we like him fast. Lean, strong, be strong. But I don't need you to have 240 pounds. Even Sam. Sam is now playing in the NFL at the same weight he was at Westlake. But when Sam was at Texas, we had him in the high 230s, low 240s. I think Sam right now is playing in the NFL for the Colts at between 215, 220 pounds. Lean, quicker, more snap. I mean, it's not deep, some of this stuff. Winning is hard, Steve. Carter B. Any other players? I know I got a little off topic there, just ranting. I don't think Christian Bevo versus the world. I don't think Christian Clark's going to be ready by this spring with the ACL stuff. But any other guys you think this could be their, if they don't step up this spring? Let's look at the roster a little bit, right? Guys that are still here, if they don't step up this spring, is this their last opportunity? Like I think of a guy like a Ryan Niblett. can he find a home on special teams at minimum? He's moving over to defense. I think Ryan Niblett. I think they got him playing the star maybe. But is this odd future? You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Odd future. It's the truth. Um, I mean, the Brett Auburn versus Will Stone battle. How dare I leave that out? It's the truth. It's the truth. Um, yeah, Niblett moves to defense. So I'm thinking about guys like, where do they that haven't been a part of the two deep per se, you know? Can some of those guys make any noise, right? To where they start to factor in to the program because clock's ticking, right? And we're talking about portal guys. With that also comes some other guys you may be looking to move off of. There's also we will have attrition as well. That is a natural part of it. So at some point during this spring, there's going to be some we had to keep it real conversations. And hey, it's probably best that you look elsewhere because you're not going to play here. Happens every year. Vasic Vasic is so good when he plays. Problem, but is he cursed? I mean, it's been it's been a couple years now, and he can't stay fit. He can't stay healthy at all. Even in the playoff game when he played, he was getting holding calls. The kid can play. With Colin Vasic has nothing to do with ability. It's availability. It's availability. That's all it is. And some guys, sadly, the the spirit is willing, but the flesh is not. And I'm afraid for that for Colin Vasic, where the spirit is there, the energy's there, even the talent's there. But can the flesh hold up? Because every single time he seems to get going, it's one thing or another. And you look at his Bash brother teammate and Ethan Burke. Ethan Burke's always been available. It's always healthy. It's always healthy. So, I mean, right now, Colin Simmons, Ethan Burke, or what, your two starting defensive ends. We talked about Trey Moore earlier in the hybrid role. He's going to probably have a very unique responsibility. And then, you start looking at some of the guys we've recruited over there. Zena factoring in is a name that comes to mind. Landon Jackson, freshman. So I'd love for Colin Vasic to be a part of the 2D, but they've already said he's not healthy. It's not healthy. Any other names we want to highlight before we wrap up here, or anything else you're looking at this spring to see? Right. We'll obviously have more as reports start to come out, as we start to hear things, as the leaks and the murmurs come out, right? Good, bad, or indifferent. We will be here to comment. Probably once the pads come on. The first couple practices, it's more so just kind of seeing who's running with who, right? Who they're trotting out there with the ones. I think we have a pretty good idea of what those groups will look like, especially on the offensive line, right? Going left to right. Trevor Gooseby at left tackle, who I'm excited to just see his continued growth after what he blessed us with, showing us on both sides, being ready to play football, both tackles positions. But Trevor Gooseby holding it down, replacing Kelvin Banks. Neto coming in there, replacing Hayden Connor. Some of you guys, many of us have been waiting to see Neto for years. And they expect him to just, be a dog early on. He could be he could be an NFL guy after just this season of starting. That's the upside you have with Neto, right? We talked about the center battle. Again, Cole Hudson looking to solidify that spot. If we could get Cole Hudson and DJ Campbell playing together at center and right guard, that would be dope. If because Cole Hudson can give you, I think you could be able to run inside zone again at a high level. No shade to Jake Majors, but I think Jake Majors will get drafted by a team that likes to run, some of the Shanahan outside zone type stuff. So look for him for a team like the 49ers or the Dolphins, somebody that likes to get on the perimeter, or even a team, think about what some of the things that Sean Payton likes to do. Maybe he goes to the Broncos, teams like that. That's where I was. Jake Majors has a purpose, but that interior phone booth, go get somebody out the way type stuff that you see from some of these other teams, especially running inside zone. I think Cole Hudson can give you that, but he's got to earn it between him, Connor Robertson, Daniel Cruz. DJ's the incumbent at right guard. Wade the NFL. Now you just got to come back and show consistency. The thing I want to see with DJ is just better conditioning. That's really it. Other than that, the technique has been better. He's become a dominant run guy in the run game. Just consistency, right? And then we talked about the right tackle battle between Brandon Baker and Kojo. These are some good names that Jenna James put up here. Malik Agbo, Connor Robertson, Jaden Chapman, another tackle, right? I think Jaden Chapman probably backup left tackle. If I had to think about that, he's probably your running with the twos at left tackle right now. Santana Wilson, another corner, son of Adrian Wilson. I always looked at Santana as a slot corner. So interested to see if he's a guy that can play star. Alex January is probably going to be your starting defensive tackle with one of the transfers, and then Justice Terry in there. Anthony Smith, we're obviously very excited about him, his development. What you're looking to see with Anthony Smith is the strength and conditioning aspect, if they can get him bigger. Last year he was good, but he just looked like a damn DB. He looks so small. So it's like just getting him some grown man size. Zena, we just talked about. JJR. Where does JJR play? He offers positional versatility between safety and star. I'm pretty sure I'd probably put JJR as Taft's primary backup right now. Xavier probably more kind of alongside Taft, with maybe competing with Jelani McDonald, that type of thing. Warren Roberson, his name's been coming up at corner. We know he was a core special teamer last year. We had some frustrating moments with Warren Roberson in terms of his being heavily penalized in special teams, but there's a lot of upside with him in terms of cornerback. Derek Williams is the one where it's like, again, returning from the injury, he was playing at such a high level. That kid forced turnovers in our two biggest games at that point that he had played, on top of just being a really good football player his freshman year. And the comms was getting there with him. He was talking more. Just a really unfortunate injury for Derek Williams. I hope he can come back healthy. My fear with Derek Williams is when is he full go? And by that time, Jonah Williams is going to be here. And it's a lot of people that they're trying to get on the field. And I think Jonah Williams, whenever he gets here full time, he's going to play. That's another Colin Simmons. That's another Anthony Hill. He's going to play. So now you start running into a numbers game. Wardell Mack, another corner who, flashed really well last year whenever he got snaps. So excited to see where he lines up. I think he also offers positional versatility inside and outside. Wardell Mack, that is. So, you think about him, that corner class, him, Santana, Kobe Black. Then you bring in a Cade Phillips this year, who's going to be competing with them, a little bit rangier corner. It's going to be interesting to see. Going to be real interesting to see. But this is a good group. This is a good group to pay attention to. Whether it's guys that may be phasing out, right? Malik Agbo's been here a while. Robertson's been here a while. Jaden Chapman's now been here a couple of years. Or guys that, are going to be stepping up. Leifau's going to take the next step. I'm confident in that. He played a lot of football. And I think Johnny Nansen still being here is a good thing. That is a luxury. It is a luxury. When I'm speaking on that from Derek Williams, I'm more so just speaking on from me being selfish from him because I really like him individually. But from the team perspective, that is the reality. Like, you may not, as good as you were and as good as you are, even coming off injury, like, we got killers here now, bro. Like, we may not have a spot. Like, that's crazy to say. But that's where the program's gotten to, too. So you have to come back and be a dog and earn it back. Johnny McDonald played a lot of football after he left. And he ended up playing some really good football down the stretch. So if Jelani doesn't switch positions and he just comes back and he's now essentially an incumbent at safety next to Michael Taft, now you're competing for the just to be in the rotation. And then the rest of the snaps going to have to come on special teams. Derek Williams, I think that's where he got hurt too. Was kickoff in the OU game, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that's where he went down. Travis Shaw and Alex DT and nose. I can see that as of right now. But just to, I know I'm repeating myself now, but interior defensive line is still my number one concern with this football team. Number one. I think that's the number one priority in the portal post spring, no matter what, just for depth purposes. But yeah, we're gonna need some help there. Somebody was asking about the Gunners. Yeah, we have a lot of options there for sure. A lot of options. I mean, that's where Ryan Niblett's going to have to try to earn some minutes. Any of the young freshmen, I could see. We already talked about Warren Roberson and how much special teams he's already played. More of a veteran guy. But, the Santana Wilsons of the world, the Wardell Macks of the world, any of those guys, 100%. Let me see. What's up, Michael Dye? How we doing? Hook 'em. It is that time of year again already. Now, like I said, just to kind of end this off and sign this off, we're now in the Arch era. The Arch Manning era of Texas, the second phase, first era of Steve's Texas career was 2021, starting out knowing we had to literally rebuild the culture, and then obviously contenders, right? We become national championship contenders. We become Big 12 champions. We become SEC championship contenders, making the Final Four 2 years in a row. New faces, but same expectations. Now you're entering the Arch era where, you're now a program that people expect. We're no longer having the "is Texas back" conversations. Is can Texas break through and win the national championship? Those are the conversations that are being had now. No one's questioning if Texas can make the playoffs anymore. No one's questioning if Texas can be competitive in the SEC. If Texas can generate first round, all the things we used to talk about. Can we have a first round pick again? All Steve Sarkisian in his first uh, iteration, his first phase, first chapter of this program has put all those things to rest. Now it's can they break through and win an Natty? And can they do it in the Arch era? That's the question. The big, big, big question. They've checked the other boxes for me, and they've been. And the other thing is, can he keep this program humming with staff turnover now happening? Sark got very blessed with, for the most part, I know we've had maybe one or two people here and there, but for the most part, over, you think about it, 21, 22, 23, 24, his core staff had been in place. It's only really now where we're really, really starting to get hit with new DB coaches, new this coach, new that coach. Like, now there is a difference of the people that were here to start Sark's tenure of the original staff hires versus the guys that are here now. Now, so far, I like Kenny Baker. In terms of guys that he's brought on that have been proven, I think Chris Jackson has done a great job so far. I really like Johnny Nansen. So I think he's been proving to make good hires as he's needed to, right? When Jeff Choate went to Nevada, going getting a Johnny Nansen, we didn't have that drop off. So he's going to have to continue to hire and develop coaches at that rate. And now this is as many coaches I've ever seen on the staff, quite frankly. Go look at the Texas staff directory of all the coaches, support roles. I love it. I love it. Like, invest, right? We're investing in our program. We have a ton of resources now, a ton of different coaches. I have a coach for almost every single position now. It's crazy. It's like an NFL staff. So just keeping that in mind. So, yeah, Pro Day coming up. Hopefully, just my real quick 2 cents on Pro Day before I stop the live. I would like to see Quinn just have a really, really good day. I still think he can, boost up his stock. Am I probably going to be wrong about my prediction of him being a first round pick when the season ended? Yeah. But at this point, if he's able to propel himself into the second round, which I think he can, what he did last year at the Pro Day when he had to throw for Xavier and A.D. Mitchell. So just looking for him to look good again. I like the way he looked at the combine. Silas Bolden, right on time, our future. Silas Bolden's a big one for me. I think he should have had a combine invite. I think it's bullshit that he didn't get one. But, it is what it is. Matthew Golden just continue to fly up. Isaiah Bond, make sure he looks healthy. Gunnar Helm, he had the sprained ankle at the combine, making sure he looks healthy. For the most part, the defensive guys, I think, are pretty solidified. Quite frankly, I mean, it's just at this point what teams fit them, right? I think Alfred Collins is probably underrated at this point. I think Vernon Broughton's probably underrated at this point. And so if those guys, they can maybe end up on better teams that are contending right now. They could help a team. But David Benda, I think the Pro Day is a big deal for David Benda. I think if he can run well, I think he will. Test well. He's a guy that can make an NFL roster and play and surprise some people. So that's another guy I'm thinking, big day for David Benda. But yeah, excited for our guys for the Pro Day and obviously coming off of what they contributed to the program. Want these guys to end up in great situations and make some good money because they deserve it. They deserve it. No, we did come a long way with Alfred Collins. We did. I like that comp, Cook and Co. Um, I like that comp. Travis, I think we're going to try to get back with SEC Connect. We've had a lot of Nino been working on some new stuff within the federal government. Um, Ty has been working in the legal space. So we've had a lot of. I've been traveling all over the place in the government as well. So under the new administration, it's been a lot of changes and chaos, and it's forced us to pivot a lot since they took office in January. So I've been making the adjustments on our end, in industry to serve the government, right? So Nino's doing the same thing. So we've been busy. We have been very, very busy, but we'll always find a way to make it happen and get back here. But SEC Connect, we'll see. Also, Chris with a K has a young child at home. Like everybody has stuff going on. He's out here in full dad mode right now. But I'm gonna try to. I've been working with BK a little bit, so you'll see me on there on Open Gym from time to time over on the Texas Unfiltered space, Texas Sports Unfiltered (TSU), as well as the app. So I'll be trying to get on there with Patrick Davis for Open Gym, especially on weeks that I don't have to travel. So that'll be going on. I'll make sure I get word out to y'all as best I can. Um, I believe BK also took over Locked On Longhorns, if I'm not mistaken. Bleacher Report will likely be, if we do Bleacher Report again, that'll likely be during this season. Not necessarily at this juncture. Just too much on the plate right now. Too much on the plate. But between BK and what we got at Texas Sports Unfiltered, and just trying to be more consistent here with our channel here, I'll be pleased with handling that, right? Because still got to make time for family and all that stuff too. So it's just trying to juggle everything and balance everything. But right now, I'm just excited, right? Like with this, like I said, the new era of Texas football, all the new faces. I think Sark said like 47 new kids or something like that, some crazy number when he did the presser. Like it's a fun, exciting time of transition, but transition with the same expectations. John Mateer, who is the new OU quarterback, as well as coming in with his offensive coordinator from Washington State. We are paying very close attention to them. This is a make or break. They're there to save BV's job. I mean, let's keep it a buck. And look, Brett Venables has been going through it on his in the personal side of things with his wife and all that. Like that, rivalry aside and all that. Obviously, you want to hope that she's getting better and those things aren't impacting them. But they want to win football games. They're very disappointed with how they opened in the SEC. They clearly were not SEC ready physically. They gassed up their defense way too much and put everything on that defense. And then I said it a couple years ago, and when they had Dylan Gabriel, and I was like, yo, y'all are really going to ask Jackson Arnold to just start the SEC cold like that? Like no development, no continuity with Lebby, because Lebby had gone to Mississippi State. Like they really just threw Jackson Arnold out there and then made him the scapegoat when he struggled as a young quarterback, predictably so, with a very disorganized like you had Seth Littrell running your offense. What did you think was going to happen? And then on top of that, you weren't big. You weren't a big football team. So John Mateer, it's funny because John Mateer it's like I look at him as the grown up version of Jackson Arnold. He's faster. He's a very good athlete, but he's Jackson Arnold with more experience. And he had some big yeah, follow me on Twitter, by the way. Very active still on Twitter. But Mateer is I mean, just talking skill set, right? Because he had some success at Washington State, obviously, to get this opportunity. But do they have enough around John Mateer to make that kind of noise? They're who's the kid, Javonte Gibson or whatever his name is that they're gassing up right now. That kid came from, you know, Valdosta State. Like, like no disrespect, but like, you know, where are the where are the Mark Claytons? Where are the Hollywood Browns? Where are the CD Lambs? Like they gassing up. This isn't the OU talent that I saw in the 2010s, in the 2000s and the 2010s. I'm talking about their skill players. I don't see the same killers I used to see over there. I've always kept it a look. Talent is talent, bro, and they've always had killers over there. Mark Andrews, Hollywood. Think about it, they had all them dudes were in the league. I don't see them dudes over there no more. Yeah, Sterling Shepard. I I need to see it because to me that's when I know OU is humming historically from what they've been off, especially offensively. Defensively, they were good, but they weren't. They had a little bit too much dip on their chip. The defense was good. It wasn't great. They were telling everybody they were acting like they had the best defense in the world, but they were good. But they had too much dip on their chip. But I don't see the same offensive firepower, the same boogeymen that could take the top off of a defense. Guys that were going to be clear first round picks at receiver. Y'all already mentioned the quarter. I mean, think about all the Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks they had. Even going back way back, Sam Bradford and them, Jermaine Gresham, all them dudes they had with Sam Bradford. They had weapons all over the place. DeMarco Murray in the backfield. I don't I don't see OU moving like that anymore right now. I think the last crew, I think that died with Caleb Williams and Kennedy Brooks in them. Like, I don't know. I know they beat us. They beat us with DG. Okay. Okay. So before y'all come for me, I'm acknowledging that y'all still had success. And, you know, when they had DG, and I mean, really, he beat us because he was just running around, but you know, they beat us. But in terms of the traditional OU firepower that they have had over the last 20 years, Marvin Mims probably, yeah. Remember this time last year, they were gassing up who was old boy that ended up not even playing at the end of the year and was taking the NIL money? The smaller guy. Was he from Vanderbilt? What was he? I've already forgotten his name. Not Farouk. Farouk's from DC, and he was bigger. Who was the other one? It wasn't Farouk. They were gassing him up last year. They had him all over. Burks. Dion Burks. And by the end of it, he was taking their money and sitting on the couch. OU fans were telling me that. That's not even us making up stuff. They had all them receivers. Yeah, they got hit with the injury bug. No one's denying that. But some of them brothers, were out there just sitting. Once the season was over, and Michael Hawkins was out there running around, and they were running no offense. Some of them receivers were like, "All right, come back for what, bro?" The other big one left the school. Um, the taller one that got hurt, he was good. He left. So Yeah, Nick Anderson. Nick Anderson. He went to LSU. But Burks, this time last year, the same way they gassing up this Gibson kid right now, because no one look OU fans they and their media move different when it comes to gassing people up. Every single like right now, this time last year, it was all about JA11. Y'all remember that? They will swear up and down that they weren't ready to move on from Dylan Gabriel, who was perfectly fine for them. And granted, it was more than that with Dylan Gabriel not coming back to OU. He obviously wanted to be closer to home. It was a good situation at Oregon. Knew Levy was leaving. He was there for Levy. Get all that. It wasn't just, he didn't want to come back to OU. But they were ready for Jackson Arnold, that fan base. They were gassing him up. They were making people think, oh, he could be a dark horse Heisman candidate. Deion Burks, Nick Anderson, Brennan Thompson, Bonnie Thompson. Shout out to Miss Bonnie. Where did Brennan end up? I know he hit the portal too, didn't he? He's not at OU anymore. Where did Brennan end up? Burke stole money from that school. Yo, they started. That was like NIL gone wrong, yo. Them dudes started taking the money because they weren't legacy OU guys either. They were just there for it. Those were mercenaries. And once the season went downhill, and you got a young quarterback in there who's not really reading the field anymore, he's just running around. Like it's not even productive for us to be here. So we'll see. I always say when we play OU, one thing about OU, they can look however against everybody else, but the thing is, they do Texas install every week. It don't matter. They do Texas install every week. So regardless, when we play them, that's why I was like, yo, when we played them this past year, regardless of how bad they looked, use the whole 2 weeks on them because they prepare different for us than they do everybody else. I've heard that from they do Texas install every week. They don't care. They could be playing Auburn. They will have a Texas period of their practice. So you got to keep that in mind. But it's going to be interesting with OU fans, though, because I am seeing they're not all in the fan base. There are people that are already out on Brent Venables that were ready to let him go last year that are saying just like there are others who are like, we'll give him one more year, but I don't think he's our guy long term. So there is a large. It's not the typical gas like we've seen before with them. So me personally, I hope they stay this way. We'll see if who's the Arbuckle, if him and Mateer can rescue them, because this reminds me of when Charlie got Sterling Gilbert. The only difference is we had a freshman in Shane Bouchel. But this is like when Sterling Gilbert came, and it was like essentially to save Charlie Strong's job. Like we needed this, like we needed to change the offense. Like I feel like that's where OU's at right now, especially in this gauntlet of a conference. So we'll see. All right, y'all. I'm about to wrap up here. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, the whole bit. I am on Twitter, Fanatic Perspective on Twitter. Just type it in, you'll find me over there. Basketball reaction is coming soon. That'll just be a recorded reaction to Sean Miller, the new head coach at the University of Texas men's basketball. I'll react to how Texas finished the season under Rodney Terry. And so that'll be coming here shortly. And then, just staying connected with you guys periodically throughout spring ball as we get more developments, more news. Like I said, who are the guys we want to hear about? Let me know in the comments as well as if you're watching the replay of this and you want to chime in and be a part of the conversation. Really appreciate it. And remember, Horns. Oh, let me do it over here. Horns always up. Hook 'em.